we, we were laughing that you're the first one to ask about if we do any cut and editing, and that's the first one that goes down.
Because I was afraid of
First time
up.
Yeah. First time.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're laughing about it because we w're like, that episode had so much different things going. You had asked that like the coffee machine was messing up, and we're all.
I was like, yeah, we could just edit that out. We could just cut it.
All right, so we ready for take two?
Here we go. Take two.
Your thing's on the low battery.
You're like,
Oh, wow. Welcome to the Local Love Podcast. Take number 2 of Quantum Coffee. Or break those. Or I think we were going to call it Breaking Bad Coffee.
Breaking Bad Coffee.
Always experimenting, man.
No, we call it Take 2 because we actually recorded before. If you guys saw the last podcast, we were talking about how we recorded and then we had some system issues. Mm-hmm. So Fidel was able to come back and join us to re-record. So we'll try to create the same magic for the first one, and we'll probably add some more to it.
Yeah, we'll get it done.
But you got Tony here.
Sam.
Manny.
And in the background with the device, and then our guest.
I'm Fidel Morreno from Quantum Coffee.
Nice.
Right on.
So if you guys have come into the shop recently, you notice that we have a Keurig machine. We're now giving out free coffee, and then we're selling whole beans as well. This is the man behind it, Quantum Coffee.
That would be.
And you'll find out why we call it Breaking Bad in a moment as we get into his story. But yeah, it definitely was interesting. So, I mean, we were talking about your story the last time, and which fortunately we didn't get caught on. But so a student got you into this, right? How did that all go about?
Yeah, so I teach AP Physics during the day at Clark High School, and this student of mine that was in one of my either first or second period class noticed that I would be drinking coffee every morning. And, we started talking about coffee, whatever it is. And then he brought me some samples of stuff that he was roasting himself. And, I have to admit that I really, at first, didn't like it. I really didn't care for it much because I was used to the Starbucks and the Costco brand roasted by Starbucks. And, around my house, we don't say the S word much. But that's what I was accustomed to. And then he brings me the stuff that he's roasting. First of all, I was pretty much amazed that you got this high school kid, 16, 17 years old, already roasting his own coffee beans and
showing promise.
Yeah. And he's got, some high end stuff. And I tried it and it was just different. I really didn't care for it at first that much. And so he brings me some samples and he goes, drink them all. And then go back to your typical Costco brand, that green bag that they used to have. Sure enough, went back to it and I was like, man, this is gross. Because I drink it black. Yeah. So, I was accustomed to like that dark roast, that bitter. And then oh, there we go. We're going to mess it up again, right? All right.
Oh, we got the other camera too.
So then, I went through all the samples and it was cool to see how each one of the samples that he gave me had a different characteristic to it, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. One of them was a little bit more fruity, one of them was a little bit more floral, a little bit was more earthy and chocolatey. And then going back to my Costco brand, it was kind of like, okay, this is gross. It just tasted like dirty brown water. Yeah, it's kind of gross. So that just totally rocked my world, in realizing how good coffee can be, kind of like you have good craft beer and you have bad, natty or whatever.
Got that natty.
Yeah.
Keystone.
So same thing in coffee. There's just an entire world that I had never really realized existed.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's a trip that a kid needed coffee at that age too.
I feel like every time I tell the story, that's one of the things that pops out. People are like, "There's a kid roasting beans in high school."
But, and it's that weird thing because he isn't your typical kid, or at least in high school he wasn't your typical kid where he was pretty much just there serving his time because he was just kind of way beyond everything we were doing, and he'd understand it and he'd go and knock out his work and all that, but his focus and his passion was coffee at such a young age to where it was kind of cool that he introduced me to it as well.
That is cool. So this student gets you into roasting your own beans and stuff. But when does it go from hobby to now a side hustle, now a business?
It all happened organically and kind of by mistake, I guess you can say. So my student, and shout out to Muhammad Alawala.
We may need to get Muhammad on the show.
I know,
too.
right? We need to bring him on the show.
What is he doing now?
I think he's doing finance and investments in Colorado somewhere. Right?
Oh, we definitely need to get him on the show. Finance and investments, that's my second passion.
Yeah. Real bright kid. And like I said, he was just kind of there serving his time and waiting for college to happen. And so one day, it's the end of the year, AP exams are going on and all that. He brings his little roaster in, and it really looks like a little Cuisinart toaster oven that you have on top of the counter. And it has a little drum roaster, and it does 1 pound at a time. That's what he was roasting on, personally for himself. And so he brings it in, and we do a little trial batch, and I take the coffee home, and I'm like, man, this is pretty good. So then eventually he goes off to college, and he goes, I can't take it with me. I'm going to be living in an apartment or in dorms or whatever it is, and can't have it. So I bought it off of him.
What apartments are banning roasters? Like,
I guess he was going to be in a dorm or something, right? Yeah. To where he couldn't have it in there.
Dorms don't want you having like hot plates and
hot
stuff
plates or anything like that
burn
either.
down the whole place.
Yeah.
People still do bring them though.
Right?
I wouldn't know.
Could always use an
I
iron.
made it halfway through high school, so I don't even know.
It'd sneak it in anyways. Yeah. So, but the bad thing about it is that it produces a good amount of smoke and all that. So it probably set off the alarms. And so I buy it off of him, and I start experimenting at home, just roasting for myself. And then, same thing with my wife. She tried the coffee, and at first she was kind of like, she wasn't really convinced about it. And eventually, she caught on, and she was like, okay, I kind of like this one. And then, I didn't like that one because this one tasted like blah, blah, blah. And she starts picking up on those notes as well. So we hang out a lot at our neighborhood watering hole, the Point Park and Eats.
Okay.
The food truck park. Shameless plug, right? And so we meet up with friends there, and I took some samples and started giving it away. Yeah. And before you know it, they're like, hey, you got any more of that coffee? Sure, I'll roast you some. And then they started giving me money for it. Nice. And little by little, it was just kind of like I started taking orders. And before you know, we got into a farmer's market, and then started an online store, and then started providing wholesale coffee to a couple of shops. And it just kind of evolved just organically without any intention of starting a business, which of course started the having to start Googling and learning how to run a business and own a business and all that other stuff. But yeah, I had zero intentions on starting a coffee roasting business.
Nice.
It's happened.
And now it's kind of a family thing, right? Because your kids are helping out as well.
It's definitely a family thing. We had our farmer's market today on Saturday mornings that we go to, and my wife, not very excitedly wakes up, and sometimes more than others, and she joins me at the farmer's market and helps out, and anywhere from packaging, delivering. We got the kids involved as well, Diego and Gabriela, both students at UTSA. That it's like, hey, before your class, go run these deliveries for me. So they've been a great help.
So are they having to hide their Starbucks when they come home and stuff? It's like, oh, gotta throw it in another trash. They're snobby like me as far as coffee goes, and they won't go into a Starbucks. But I will admit that my daughter especially is a big Dutch Bros fan. Is she? Okay.
Yeah, but she goes more for I think they have
the fraps
or the fraps and stuff like that.
Yeah. Blue, she likes the chai lattes over there. She doesn't like their coffee at all. She's like, I don't like how the coffee tastes over there.
Yeah. She never mentions. Yeah, my daughter never mentions getting drip or an espresso or anything like that. They go for their fraps or
for all the sugars,
other stuff that they have. Yeah, diabetes in a cup.
Yeah. It's definitely got to be interesting. I mean, your kids going to college when all the kids there probably think they're drinking fancy stuff with Starbucks and stuff, and then you get
right. Yeah. And then she shows up with her Yeti full of home roasted stuff.
There you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's cool.
She can start slinging it or selling it.
Yeah. She actually does. She since our friends at the Point Park and Eats, the food truck park place, they and this is another odd story as well, because we hang out with them all the time and we're always there. And one night we were hanging out as they were closing up, and I mentioned to Denise, one of the owners, I told her, hey, you should open a coffee shop inside the house. The inside part of the house that's on the premises, it was just storage and bathroom for the girls. Okay. And within like 2 weeks, she's like tearing down walls and setting things up and changing stuff. And she goes, all right, we're doing a coffee shop. So they own the coffee shop, and I roast out of it, provide them with their coffee. And my daughter works there as well. Wow. Today she pulled a double shift.
Oh, no. Really?
Go figure, yeah. So she's schlepping the quantum. And
I didn't know that you were the inspiration or kind of the idea for the coffee shop.
Yeah, it was cool how it just happened. We were hanging out one day after they were closing up, and it was like, hey, a coffee shop in there would be really cool. And she took me she took me seriously, and she started just.
Well, the reason I say that is because that's what our connection was. So, Sammy, when I was telling Sammy, and then it's funny, I just started at a new job, and when I was telling them, they both have. Sammy was the first one that said, "Man, it sounds like you're getting like Breaking Bad coffee or something like that." And it all started because one day a friend of mine, we were gonna go get coffee, and I already had bought a sample pack of yours, the subscription sample pack online. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? We're trying to find somewhere. And the first place we went to, the inside was closed. And I was like, you know what? There's this place I've been wanting to go to. And it had it listed there at that park. It had Quantum Coffee. So we drove over there and we go. And I didn't know that you were just roasting there and it was showing that you roasted there. I thought you had a coffee shop there too.
Got it.
So I came in and we ordered coffee and like we're talking. I was like, oh, you serve Quantum? I was like, is this where you guys... And she started telling me about it. And then that's when she told me about the cinnamon bean that you had.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not on the website. I was like, I didn't see that on the website. I haven't tried that one. On there. She's like, yeah, it's really good. He infuses it. He does this whole thing. And I was like, that sounds really good. Like, I got to try this out. Mm-hmm. And so she gave me your number because I think she was texting you saying, hey, are you going to come in and roast?
Yeah.
But like, I think you were coming in way later and we were there early and we were like, all right, we'll catch them another time. And I think that's when I texted you and asked for an order. And then we started meeting at the Total Wine to provide me the order. So
all shady in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's what started leading to the whole Breaking Bad thing. Because I'll tell you, Sammy, I was like, yeah, he was a teacher. He is a teacher and he's doing this thing. He's like, well, where do you meet him? And I was like, the Total Wine parking lot. And they're like, what? You're like going to a parking lot to get coffee? I'm like, yeah.
I'm like Walter White.
Yeah, literally Walter White.
Yeah.
And so that's when it all started. Like and then from there, I've been like buying beans from you for a while now. It's just been kind of like I always get the cinnamon and then whatever else you have in stock.
Yeah, you always do I want this, and this, and whatever else you happen to have that's brand new. It's like, all right, let's.
I always like trying new stuff because I during the pandemic I got into pour overs, and so as I was doing that, I like to try to taste the different notes, and so it's always like I know my natural instinct is to go for dark coffees. I like dark coffees, medium dark, but I know that's not the flavor that it's not always gonna bring out the most flavor, unless it's roasted right.
Right.
And so that's why I like sometimes I'll be like, oh, just do it whatever you
suggest.
think.
Yeah,
because I like to just try the different flavors out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some coffees that show off a lot better at a lighter roast, and there's some that can stand up to some good amount of heat, and you can still pick up a little bit more of the roastiness without completely trashing the regional flavors of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool thing about coffee, like you were saying before. I mean, it's just there's so much like once you start buying like beans that are freshly roasted and you're getting into the right equipment, just not even a whole bunch of equipment, you start seeing the difference in the coffee and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I know, Sammy, you're even doing like your coffee differently now, right?
You're talking French press.
French press, and then like
because you had gotten me a French press a while back, but I lost that during the divorce. I don't know if she kept it or it got lost, but it got lost during the divorce. But So I was like, I need to get a new one. So I ordered a new one, and then, man, it's just amazing. Like I fell in love with Ethiopia. Everyone's like, which one do you like? And they think I want to go cinnamon. And I'm like, Ethiopia. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, it tastes amazing. Like, I was like, but they're all good, man. It just matters like what you want, and they're just like,
which is funny because you pick up specific flavor notes that you like, but a lot of people relate flavor of coffee with how roasty it is. Yeah. And it's like, oh, this is a strong coffee. Well, coffee strength is how much the ratio of water to coffee beans you use. And a lot of people relate coffee strength to how dark it's roasted.
Yeah.
Or how flavorful it should be.
Yeah, because our dad, sometimes he'll put so much beans like in there, and I'm like, dude, this is oil, dude. Like,
it's funny. That's how I like. So, I feel like coffee ties different people. You look at colleges, you look at so many things. I mean, look at that show Friends in the '90s. I mean, it was all around. Like they were always Central at a coffee shop. Yeah. So coffee plays such a role. Like for us, like. For me, our dad was always like carrying 2 cups of coffee. Like we knew, like if he was taking us to school or whatever, he stopped at the convenience store, bought 2 cups of coffee. And I remember the first time I had coffee,
the newspaper,
until it got too expensive. Then he stopped buying the newspaper. But when the first time I had coffee, I remember I was having it, and I was about to put cream and sugar, and I think I was under 12 years old. And he was like, no, if you're going to drink coffee, you're going to drink it this way. He's like, you're not drinking chocolate milk. And so and I think he knew, like, once we sipped it, it was like, oh, no, I don't want this. I'll wait.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
It was also Folgers. So.
Yeah. It was Folgers.
Red can Folgers.
Yeah. And so I remember going to college, and, like, that's the way I drank my coffee, black coffee.
Oh, wow.
And just going through that. And even when I started, like, my career, just drinking black coffee. And then all of a sudden, it, like, started... I was like, you know what? Let me try different things. So first you go to like H-E-B and just start buying some of the beans there. And this is before they had the bulk beans. They just were selling like different beans and trying different things. And I remember like just Googling different stuff. And like the big thing at the time was like, I was like, oh, let me clean the filters because they're getting them at the office. They're dusty. Let me just wet them before you put them in and just doing things like that. Then all of a sudden I started getting into specialty beans and I was like, my whole world changed. I was just like, wow, you can taste the difference.
Yeah. Well, you're already getting fancy with your pre-rinsing the paper filters and all that. Because there's there's some brands of filters where you can really pick up that paperiness of it, if you don't rinse it out.
Yeah. And it was funny. So that was the first thing I used to do. And then now it's like a whole different thing. Like I do the whole grind measurement. I go all out. I'm not suggesting
like
people
weigh it, right?
Yeah, I do the whole ratio, 16-1 ratio. Make sure what I'm putting in. Not suggesting that for everyone. That's just how I start my morning. I like starting my morning that way. Yeah. I've been traveling the last 2 weeks, and it sucks because I can't take it with me. So I'm not carrying all that equipment.
Of course,
obviously. So I can't take it with me. So it's like. All right, I guess I'm gonna just drink some coffee.
This is what it is.
And it was funny. I was at one of the sites, and they have a nice little. I don't know what machine it is. It's a pretty nice machine. It grinds the beans for you. It'll make whatever you want and stuff like that. And they're like, "Oh, you'll love this," and they make it. And I'm like, "It's good. It's all right. I'll drink it. I'll drink it."
You did a busting their bubble, man. They tried.
I can't tell them that. I just like, thank you. I appreciate it because they're giving me. I mean, this is coffee that even the other people aren't getting in the place. So I'm like, no, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, you should do it this way. But I think when it comes to coffee, like most people, they go to Starbucks or somewhere. I mean, you know what? I had to stop by McDonald's the other day, and it was because I came back into town. We didn't brew any coffee at home where I was staying at, so I was like, you know what? I stopped and I was like, let's just stop by McDonald's and get the coffee. I didn't realize the large coffee is like $3 there now. It's like $3 for a large coffee at McDonald's. I'm like $3. I'm like,
I haven't bought McDonald's coffee in a while. So
yeah, that's why I was like $3. Most people, you go to Starbucks, you're probably paying about $5-6.
Oh yeah.
Like you're gonna save money in the long run.
Yeah,
if you start doing your own thing, and it's like. Doesn't take much to have a good cup of coffee. Like literally beans, some good water, which you just get a purifier, and a good grinder. And then you can brew it any way you want. You want to do through a normal coffee machine, K-cups, whatever.
Pour
it
over,
is.
French press, yeah.
Yeah.
One of my clients uses it's like a Chemex or something.
Chemex, yeah, it's a pour over too.
Pour over, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that one is. He was like, yeah, it's like a certain type of way of pouring over. I was like, I don't know what that is.
Those are sweet, but that's a bit more of a production where I mean, if you're in a hurry to get to work in the morning, you know, a K cup is so convenient where you just throw it in there, boom, and you go. The Chemex, you know, you gotta. You know,
Chemex is almost what I'm doing. Like that I do a pour over, but I don't do the Chemex. I do a Haro V60, I think it is. Yeah, so I do those, and again, I started nerd. Huh?
So the Chemex, is it just like where you put the filter or whatever?
It's a glass thing that's on there, and you put the filter in there, and then you pour the beans in, and you pour the water over. So it's funny, like I actually did the research on this, so I'm about to nerd out on that. So, because I was weighing when I was gonna do the pour, I was like, do I go with the Chemex or do I go with the Haro V60? And in all the research I did, like the Chemex looks nicer because it's this glass thing, has the thing here. But the Chemex was made so that you basically set the grind, and you're gonna get a consistent, pretty consistent coffee as long as you get the grind right and stuff like that. It's not gonna do anything. Well, the Haro, the way it was designed, it has more ridges around it. So you, by changing just even a little bit of the grind and stuff, you can extract more of this, so it gives you more variability. So if you want the easier, they'll both take a long process. If you want the easier one, the Chemex is the easier. The Haro you can do more things with and trying to. So I went with a more complicated one, naturally. Just because I like playing with it. Like I like changing.
Out.
Yeah, I like changing the grind size and doing different things. Like I'll have the same bean, and one day I'm doing it at this grind, and then I do it the next one just to see what the difference is.
See what you get.
And if I make a bad cup of coffee, I'm drinking it anyways because I'm like, you know what? It's gonna make me learn my lesson.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, but like we were saying, it doesn't have to be that complicated. You want a good cup of coffee? I say get a burr grinder. $20-$30, nothing too crazy.
Burr, right?
Yeah, burr.
I was looking up bird grinder because I
Bird?
thought
Because I mispronounced it. Yeah, burr, B-U-R-R.
R, not bird, B-I-R-D.
Yeah, you get a bird grinder.
Why you gonna do a bird grinder? No, not bird.
Grind the chicken and stuff.
No.
I guess he means like the seeds. I don't know what that
No.
Bird seed grinder. No. Bird grinder. Basically, all it is it's not using the blades, and so it gives it it's more of an even grinder, like a spiral.
Yeah, it's cool because the burr grinder will crush the beans rather than like a blade grinder chops it up and gives you all these little flat microscopic surfaces to it. So crushing it gives you a better extraction because you get more surface area as well.
Got you.
Yeah.
Because that's really what you want. You're trying to get a consistency when you're doing a pour, whatever you're doing. And if you get one of those, you just throw in some beans, right? And the other thing is good water, right? So San Antonio, like we put things in our water and things like that, fluoride, other stuff. I think we're doing fluoride still, right? Anyways, you get a water purifier, not distill, and you know, water, and then a good bean. You get a good bean, and you got good coffee right there ready to go. And you're probably gonna save more money that way than going to Starbucks every day and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it sounds like it's complicated, takes long, but honestly, if you just have a regular coffee maker or whatever, it's literally grinding takes you
couple minutes.
Not even that, 30 seconds, a minute. Like you just throw it in there, you just flip the switch.
Not that expensive either. I was checking on Amazon.
Yeah, no, they run like $20-$30 depending how good of a one and how big of a size.
Yeah, there's some that are like 100 and something, but 20 to 25 to 35 is an average right there.
What you're
like
paying
for a regular one.
As it goes up more, you're probably paying for like durability and then probably the quietness.
Doesn't even matter because now Amazon provides a firm, which is payments, and they provide their own payments on there too.
Hey, so don't be sleeping on that. Hey, I rock with that. I rock with that.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, I ain't even worried about it. If it's 100 and something, I'll break it down in 4 payments. Break it down.
Easy peasy. Yeah.
That's how I got my shoes.
And you'll see, like honestly, I rarely go. Like I'll go out to. I like going to local coffee shops. If I'm going anywhere, I go to a local coffee shop when I'm going out for coffee and stuff like that. But if not, I'm brewing it at my house, and it's. I don't think I can go back to like. I'll do a Starbucks if I'm traveling, and that's about it.
Yeah, if I'm driving around and I need a little bump or something, I'll look to see if there's something.
That's exactly why
something
people
local.
think that you're a drug dealer.
You're breaking back a little bump.
Little bump. Sorry,
No.
little drug
Pick me
reference.
up.
But
Pick
a
me
little
up,
pick
bro.
me up. There you go. Yeah, I'll look for like a local roaster or like a local coffee shop. But if I'm hard up, I'll go into like a Dunkin' or something like that. But it's cool how like your journey with coffee and my journey with coffee pretty much all starts with Folgers, and then eventually you kind of
What happened at Maxwell House?
and you kind of start weaning yourself off of it. I started off also in college drinking red can Folgers, and just loading it up with sugar and creamer, and then little by little less and less sugar and less creamer, and then just drinking it black, and then you're drinking it black, and you're like, okay, this is pretty gross.
Yeah.
And eventually got a job, and I could start affording something a little bit better, and
Hello.
and there you go.
Yeah.
So well, I got a question. So how did you? We were trying to debate like the name of the Quantum Coffee, right?
Well, because I teach physics,
right?
Yeah, I teach physics. I have a science degree, and I just wanted a single name, something.
It's like a cat, right?
The logo.
That's what we were talking about. The logo. We was trying to debate.
So the last podcast, we just did a quick update, and we were explaining what happened to the last video and why we hadn't posted in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we were bringing up about the cat, and we were like, we know half dead, half alive. It was like,
right?
What was that theory again? I was
What
like,
was it?
we were trying to remember the
Think of it.
theory.
It's Schrodinger's cat.
Schrodinger.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
one of my clients, he's an engineer. Like everyone else, I was like, yeah, there's a theory out there, half dead, half alive cat. I think it's in space or something like that. And they're like, I never heard of that. That sounds so cool. And then I told the engineer, and he's like, and he said, what was it called?
Schrodinger's
Yeah, he was like, Schrodinger. I was like, yeah, that's it, dude. He's like, you're the first one to get it.
There you go.
You get a free coffee.
Yeah, it's cool. Like whenever I'm wearing the cat logo shirt or the cap, which looking at your socks, I need to bring you some socks as well.
Oh yeah, I'll rock some
we have
socks.
the cat socks.
I'll definitely rock them.
Every once in a while, there'll be some nerd that comes by and goes, Schrodinger's cat? yeah, most people will just look at it and like, oh, look at the cat, and they don't really pick up on it. But there's a couple of people that will pick up on Schrodinger's cat. But yeah, all that since I decided to name the coffee roasting Quantum Coffee, then I figured I need a logo. I need like the Geico, what is it, the chameleon, and then the Aflac duck and all that. I'm like, I need a mascot.
So one too.
We need a mascot.
There you go. Yeah, you need a mascot too. So I figured, well, I called my roasting business Quantum Coffee. I'm like, well, I need something sciencey or whatever, and I'm like, Schrodinger's cat, so I need a cat. So I came up with the idea of a cat, and then I'm like, well, the Schrodinger's cat, half dead, half alive at the same time, depending on who sees it and all that. So I had the idea in my head, and being that I graduated from UTSA, we do a lot of stuff with UTSA and the Alumni Association. And one day I was on campus giving coffee away to kids. Whoever came by, just grab a cup of coffee, grab and go to class or whatever. Yeah. And this guy comes by and he goes, hey, I'm about to graduate with my digital marketing or something like that degree. He goes, let me do something for you. I was like, well, I have this idea of a cat. And I explained it to him, and I sent him a couple of kind of examples, and sure enough, he came up with our cat logo. So it was cool because he was about to graduate. Now he gets to, put it in his portfolio and
trademark
that experiment. Yeah.
Nice. And so then, I know from us talking before, like through your coffee journey, like so you get into a hobby, becomes a small business, and then now you have like an uncle, right, that owns a
so
farm?
One of my uncles is bought a small coffee farm in Colombia. So it's cool because he sends us coffee direct from the farm. So it's always good to be able to support the small farmers that put in, actually do all the work.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to avoid, but we do get a lot of our coffees from importers that go get the coffee, they bring it in and all that. But whenever you can buy directly from the farm, it's great, and even better if it's a family member, you know.
Yeah.
So my uncle Amado does. They do great stuff at the farm, Finca Vista Hermosa, in the Coffee Triangle in Colombia. And they do honeys, they do natural process, they do washed, they do anaerobic fermentations. A lot of cool stuff out there.
Yeah, see, so I love coffee, but I don't know any of that stuff. So when they're like, what? You said washed, and they're like, what does that mean? I was like, I guess they washed the beans. And I was like, they take a shower, dude. I don't know.
So the differences in the coffees is when let's say you have okay, let me back up the truck. So coffee is a fruit, right? And a lot of people, since it's called a coffee bean, a lot of people think it's like a frijol, right? Like an actual bean. But it's a fruit, and it's called a coffee cherry. It looks like a regular cherry, right? So they're red, they're ripe. So then what they do is the washed process, they'll wash the skin and the fruit off, and they'll dry the seeds in the sun, right? And the seeds is what they call the coffee bean. So that'll be a washed process, but then they can do a honey process where they get the skin off, leave the fruit on, and it becomes like this sticky, like fruity, pulpy type of thing that they dry in the sun with the pulp on there. And then as it ferments, the seeds get like this, different flavor behind it. They get a little bit more of that sweet fruitiness from the fruit that's on it. And then there's the natural process where they pick the cherries and they dry them just like that.
Yeah.
So then that becomes, those are even fruitier, more floral. You get lots of pop behind them. Nice. So it could be the same bean, just processed 3 different ways.
Yeah. Nice. That's cool. That's definitely cool. Hopefully, those of you that want to know that, you guys can watch this and learn it, because that is interesting. Like, I know about it because I always read into it, but like Samuel was talking about, not everyone always knows that stuff.
I didn't know. I was just like, they start reading it. They're like, oh man, this is freshly roasted. I was like, yeah, man. They're like, oh, it's washed. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, what does that mean? I was like, now I can tell them. Like,
but now you know.
But that's definitely, I mean, like, if you're buying coffee beans, that's one of the things, like, when you go, like, that's why, like, if you go into a grocery store, you can find whole bean coffee beans. The problem there is you're going through a distributor, they're going through a whole bunch of stuff. So that bean's been sitting in a warehouse for a while. Yeah. Typically, you want a fresh roasted bean, maybe about a week or 2 after it's been roasted. Mm-hmm. It's going to last about a month or 2 afterwards, somewhere around there, the peak time. And so you kind of get that, and you get all those things going on. So it's pretty cool just being able to have that there. So if you go into a grocery store or something, you can't even find a roasted date. Yeah. Big sign, probably not to buy that bean.
Probably not a good idea. Yeah. And I love doing that. I love going into like different coffee shops and picking up a bag so I can compare with mine, and I'll look at roast dates on there, and then going into, let's say, H-E-B or whatever, I'll go through the aisles and look at what's available, and I'll pick up something there as well. And every once in a while, you're going to pick up something that's been there a couple of months. Yeah. So I'll buy it anyways just to compare to see what type of shelf life it might have. But it's not going to be bad, but it's not going to be at its optimal flavor.
Yeah, so definitely if you're coming by and you're buying some Quanto coffee here, you'll have the fresh roast date, and then also we'll be having the link in the description, so if you buy it directly from their site as well.
Yeah, everyone that's tried it is loving the coffee. Like, we've already sold a few bags. Like, one of them actually made a whole video of it. Like, it's a couple that they just love coffee. They got the Tanzania, and they love it. I was telling everyone, I forgot how to pronounce it, so I was reading it. I was like, "Oh, it's Tanzania, man." They're like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, Tanzania." And they're like, and then she's like, "It's Tanzania." I was like, Oh yeah.
Yeah, that.
Tomato.
Yeah.
Either way, it's good.
Potato, batata. Whatever.
Yeah. No, but it's definitely, I mean, like I said, sometimes it seems like it's more complicated. It takes a lot longer, but you can actually just enjoy a good cup of coffee. You'll see the difference, and then you're like, it's tough to go back to anything else after you've had a really good cup of coffee, and you're thinking, oh, I can't do that myself. It's really simple.
Like one guy, like, so we got used to telling people like, oh yeah, we got coffee. Like, you want to try it? And then one guy was like, he's like, wait, it's Loco? And I was like, yeah, dude. And he was like, oh, I would have tried it if I was like, dude, you can still try it. Go for it, man. Pop one in there and take it home. Let me know how you like it. He was like, all right, man. All right. I didn't know. And like, they're getting hyped because they're like, I guess like a lot of people don't know that people roast locally. So they're just like, they're starting, like, it's opening up a world for them. They're like, they roasted here in San Antonio. I was like, yeah, dude. They're roasting.
A lot of people just know Starbucks, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, it's. He's awake.
Or they'll know a couple of the smaller places. I mean, not smaller places. They'll know a couple of other places around San Antonio, like what is it, Merritt's and a couple other things. But no, I mean, definitely recommend you guys try it out. We're always supporting local businesses, so it's definitely
and it's cool that y'all are carrying the coffee down because have more retail locations and we help advertise for you guys and you guys advertise for us and help each other out. It's that entire local thing that benefits everybody.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I mean, hey, you kind of stumbled. You went from a hobby to a business. What's next for Quantum Cosby?
Wow. A little bit more organic growth. I'm going to... I still have a few years left in education before I retire and walk away from that, and then kind of do a little bit more purposeful growing of the business. But right now, I've pretty much have my hands full with monthly subscriptions online, filling orders, the wholesale accounts that we have. That keeps me pretty busy right now. Nice. So once I ditch the entire education part of my life, definitely grow the business a bit more.
That's cool.
That's dope.
No, that's cool. That's definitely cool. And like I said, we'll be selling it here, so you guys are welcome to come by. You can try it out. We have all the different flavors here, so you can try out. We'll probably carry some other flavors as well. Yep. If there's a flavor of a K-Cup that we're not carrying whole bean, just let us know and we'll order it for you guys and get it.
Yeah.
So what's like your favorite one from the ones that you roast? Like you're just like go to, like you're just like bam.
If it were up to me, I'd probably be drinking the natural processed Ethiopia, day in, day out. It's not my wife's favorite. She'll drink it if I grind it up and put it in the coffee maker, but
if you put in the work, she'll drink it.
I'm usually outvoted.
What do they choose?
So my wife generally prefers like Guatemala, Honduras, Colombia, the nutty, earthy, nice kind of your can't go wrong type coffees, the washed, processed. Every once in a while, and the funny thing is that I own the business, I roast everything and all that, and whenever I'm bagging coffee, like I'll usually roast a little bit extra, and or making K-Cups and all that, and I'll end up with a couple of ounces of this, a couple of ounces of that, and I end up drinking just pretty much leftovers of whatever I end up not bagging. And I'll throw it into this big jar and we grind it up, and that's what we drink in the morning. And every once in a while I was like, man, that was pretty damn good. It's a good mix. The struggle is trying to remember what I put in there that I can recreate. So every once in a while. So typically it's I end up with a lot of like a little bit of everything of a washed coffee and then a little bit of natural in there. So it makes a great blend.
Go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say what popped into my head. I just saw you, but with the big old tape, like Tony Montana style, but instead of all these Cokes, mountain of Cokes, it was just like mountain of coffee beans, just like chilling there, just like.
So it went from Walter White to Tony Montana.
Yeah, and you're just like putting them all together, and boom. Like,
well, I was gonna say if you had said grams instead of ounces, now all of a sudden we were gonna have another.
Yeah,
reference.
I was measuring grams. That's for sure.
What's the other thing about coffee, which I think when people are always like, "Oh, what's the best cup of coffee I should have or whatever," it's really your preference. That's the thing. Like,
definitely,
coffee
absolutely.
can come into so many different flavors, and that's the beauty of it. Everyone has a different flavor. Like, it's hard to say this is the one best coffee in the world because some people like earthy flavor, some like floral, some like this and that. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people don't know that because they're just so used to either drinking a very bad bean or they overload it with the cream, sugar, and all the other flavors that they don't get to taste. The problem too
is like they don't, like, some of them don't understand, like, everything that you named isn't the most dominant. Like, the coffee's always going to be the dominant flavor. And it's like, they're like, I just taste coffee. I'm like, no, there's hints in there. Like, you got to taste it, dude.
And especially
not tasting.
Yeah, like today we had somebody come by the farmer's market and they got a cup of coffee and they just like threw down on the creamer and they legit just look at you going, I prefer creamer or I like creamer more than coffee. So the ratio of coffee to creamer is just kind of like, ugh.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And not to hit on all the creamer and sugar people. It's like food.
We're definitely going to hate right now. Let's go ahead.
No. It's like food. You want to taste it first, and then you can add in the stuff you want. Like, like you were saying, the coffee's the basis, and maybe you do like others. But if you taste the floral note and you're like, you know what, I want a little more vanilla in there. Let me add a little vanilla or something.
It's like a good steak, man. You don't want to put
A1.
All over it.
Yeah. You put stuff on the side, and then you start adding to it once you've tasted the meat, and then you go from there.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with coffee. Like, you want to put creamer, you want to put the other stuff, but taste it first because every bean's going to be different. Like, that's the thing. Now, if you're just doing Folgers completely, then sure, put in all the creamer and put all the stuff you need because you're going to need it for that.
Yeah. But Folgers is Keystone and Natty.
If you're gonna buy a specialty bean, taste it, and then you can add stuff to it if you want to. Like, you can enhance the flavors of what's coming out.
We do get a lot of customers that come in and they're accustomed to 3 creamers, 3 sugars.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, hold on, taste it first and realize, sure, if you want to do creamer and sugar, whatever, it's your coffee, but taste it first and realize that you probably don't need 3 creamers, 3 sugars because it's not so darkly roasted that you don't need to jack it up so much and try and hide those burnt flavors or those dark roast flavors.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
Yeah, same. Like, I mean, I guess we've all talked about, except I haven't talked about my journey was, so I'm one of those people that if I don't burn my energy, like, that always happens. If I don't burn my energy, like, I stay up. Yeah. So this one time when I didn't burn my energy, I stayed up all night. And then by the time it was like 9 o'clock a.m. the next day, I was super tired. And someone's like, drink coffee. I was like, nah, it tastes gross. And they're like, put some cream and sugar in there. And that was my first cup of coffee. And then, like, I just slowly was just like getting away from there. And then I was just like, man, I need to stop drinking. So I need to get away from sugar. So then I just started drinking it black. And I was like, well, this tastes good. And then the first flavored coffee that I had was actually the HEB one, the what is it called? Cafe Ole. Yeah, and it was the San Antonio one. And I was like, man, this tastes good. I didn't know they had flavors like this. So then after that, it's been game on. And then I just been like, and then Tony's always like, he's the chemist over there. Like, he's just like, he puts on a lab coat and he's like, you need to try this coffee. And then he's like, mixing everything. It's like,
there's just so much good stuff out there that there's really no reason to be drinking bad coffee anymore.
There isn't. Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, you need to try the different things. You'll find the flavor you like. And that's the thing, like, and it doesn't. You don't have to do like what I do, measure it by grams and all that stuff. That's just me because I like the process. It helps.
No,
me
but it
relax.
comes out amazing. I tell people all the time, like I'm like, yeah, my brother, like he gets all chemistry with it, but like it's the best coffee I ever have every time I try it.
Yeah,
And
and even if you don't, like I measure mine, and I so many grams, this much water and all that, just like you do. But a lot of people they'll grind their coffee and they'll just do this many scoops.
Yeah.
Which is fine as well. Scoop wise, you might be off by a gram or two here or there, but really you'll still get a consistent cup without having to get a scale and get all fancy.
Yeah, and you just put it through. You can use a drip coffee machine. It's not like the only thing I would say is just play with the grinds. Like, don't try to add more coffee to make it stronger. Play with the grinds. Like the grinds is what's going to do it. The only thing I would caution if you're using a drip coffee, if you're using a drip machine, depending on the machine, if you do the grinds too fine, you're going to overflow your machine. Just grind it a little bit more coarse and it'll flow through. But usually that's like how I mess with, like, because I'm doing pour overs, I can control the flow of it. And so my whole thing is if I'm going a little bit finer, it's because I want a little bit darker. I'm doing this, know. And so, and French press, it's a great thing to get into. Like, it's not, you grind it, throw it in there, put the water, walk away for about 5 minutes, go do your thing, and come back and you just push it down and you got coffee.
The next thing you need to add to your coffee arsenal is a Clever coffee dripper. Another shameless plug there.
Have I seen the Clever one?
The Clever, it's cool. It's an acrylic cone shaped contraption, and it fits a number 4 cone filter in there.
Okay.
And it works just like a French press, where you're gonna put the coffee grinds in the hot water, steep it and stir it. But you get that steeping time. But it's real cool because then you get the Clever dripper and you set it on top of your cup. And it has a plunger.
I think I've seen that one.
It pushes it up and then it drips straight into your cup. So it's like a filtered French press where you get that steep time.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I like French press, but I'm always trying to get like everything out of it.
Yeah.
So you end up with that sediment at the bottom of your cup, which I'll drink it anyways, right? But I like the cleanness of a cup that you get from the Clever dripper. So
as we're starting to close out, I'll tell you the one that I need to buy, but I've used before, is the Siphon Method. So it's the old one. There's the old one. There's 2 different ones. There's one that goes straight and up, but the old one back from 1800 has 2 separate ones here, and it's like the coffee.
Is that the one that I took a picture of last year? And I was like, "You ever seen this?" And you're like, "Yeah." It's like,
yeah. I used it. Yeah, like you put it, like it has one metal container where you put the water in, and it has a glass thing that you put the coffee beans in there, and you have a line that runs up between the 2, and you just use like a cheesecloth. And so what it is you get a little flame, and you put it. I would recommend putting hot water, or not you're sitting there waiting forever. So you put in hot water, but then what happens is you turn on the flame, and the flame has like a little cap thing that's on so as the water boils to the right temperature, it siphons it to the other side and puts in the coffee. And so the thing goes up, shuts off the fire. And then once the water starts cooling down in the coffee, it sucks it back in. And there you go. You got your coffee. It's freaking nuts. That's how they were doing it in the early 1800s.
That's one of those where...
Why did we give up on that?
Because everybody started booking it to work and just kind of like
they went
K-cup
to
machine.
But you know what? That's supposedly one of, like, if you get the measurements right and stuff, it's one of the cleanest ways to make coffee because you're using, I mean, naturally if you're different, what does it say? If you're different, God dang, what was I say? Slimmy. Yeah, Slimmy. There's little things that'll affect it, but for the most part, water boils at, what was it, 212?
Uh-huh.
So water boils at 212, so it's going to push it out. So you're basically, like, it's very hard to get it wrong because it's using, the laws of physics, I guess.
Specific temperature,
yeah.
It's going to siphon over and get your coffee done.
And what was funny is the first time I did it, like, so I had like a little lever and you pour it out and it's coming through and I'm like, oh, that's light. I was like, oh man. I was like, no, I don't know about this. It's light. And then I tasted it. One of the cleanest coffees I've ever had. Just
try that.
Yeah, it's worth trying out. It sucks to clean up because you're using a cheesecloth and then like the glass, you're so worried about breaking it and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's cool to do.
It's
looks
definitely one of those more kind of like on the weekend when you have the time to just kind of like, all right, we're gonna
have like guests and you're like, check this out.
Yeah, check this out.
Well, it was funny because there used to be that breakfast place here, Comfort Cafe or whatever, next door. They had their own little coffee shop there. I remember it's weird. Like the coffee shop was inside the restaurant, but it wasn't part of the restaurant. So you had to pay the coffee shop and then you had to pay the restaurant.
Really?
So it was kind of weird. But I went there and I remember the guys were like, "Oh, we just got this new siphoning method." I was like, "What?" And it wasn't that same one. It was a different one. I was like, "Let's see that." He's like, "We've never done it before." I was like, "Let's do it." And then he's like, did it. I drank the coffee. I was like, "This is amazing." I was like, "Give me another one." I think it was like $10-15 for it. I was like, I don't care. I was like, whatever, give me another one. It was like, I was like, give me another one. Just because
I actually want to buy one.
Oh, that's my next. That's the one I got. I need to buy one of those.
Next toy.
Yeah, the next one.
Especially if it comes out that good. Like if it's like,
I gotta try it.
It's definitely worth doing it. And honestly, I only did it once or twice, and I used the same bean. I would love to use different beans, and I didn't even play with the grind size. So like, there's so much more. The only problem was, like I said, I had to clean the cheesecloth and all that stuff. So like you said, it's a weekend thing. It's one of those things when you're not in a rush and you just want to mess with it, or if you're showing off, it's pretty much that.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good. There's some functionality to it where I wished it was a little bit easier, but it makes sense why they were doing it in the 1800s and not now.
Yeah.
Now it's puro Mr. Coffee and nice drip.
Eggs and
But honestly, if you go to Amazon, you can find different machines. Like they're creating machines. The Mocha Master was one that was coming out of Germany or something like that. That was supposed to imitate.
The one I have.
That was supposed to imitate the pour overs because it has like the more of the drip and kind of like the way it sprays out. And there's some other ones that they have as well. So I would say go to Amazon, go to Google search. You can find different machines. Like if you want to pour over taste but don't want to stand there and watch and do that, they have those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Technivorm Mocha Master, when I first saw it, I was like, this looks legit. And I read the reviews and all that, and it's a couple of $100.
Yeah.
It'll set you back a little bit, but man,
it
just makes great coffee.
You got a firm.
Yeah, but I've had
you got a firm.
I've had coffee from the Mocha Master, and it does do it pretty good.
Yeah.
I if I was making way more, like if I had more people I was making for, that's the way I would head.
Yeah.
But because it's just me, I do my pour over.
Right. Yeah.
But if it was gonna be more people, I definitely would go Mocha Master because that is a good machine that
is a great machine.
Gives a quality coffee. So, like I said, just try it out. Try different things. Like we said, we're selling the coffee here. Come support, and then we'll have Quantum Coffee's link in the description. So if you want to go on there, check it out, things like that. Anything you want to say as we're closing for that?
No, thanks for having me on again. And
you're our first returning guest,
right? Yeah. And thanks for your support, man. I mean, I really appreciate it. Love having another retail outlet, where people can come get a badass haircut and some coffee as well. So I always appreciate the support.
No, definitely appreciate that as well. And like I said, if you guys want to order some coffee, you guys can do that. You can come buy it here. Who knows, down the line,
Metallica. Going on.
Yeah, I just had this made the other day.
Nice.
Sick.
I was jamming out listening to Metallica, and I'm like, it'd be cool to have our logo in Metallica font. Yeah. So I got it made. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, had to acknowledge it before we ended.
Yeah. No. If you guys have questions about coffee too, ask us. Put in the comments or come in. Ask Sammy or whatever, and you can get a hold of us. We'll let you guys know.
Ask me, I'll text them.
But no, I mean that's the thing. That's the way you learn is asking questions.
Yeah.
Like even if you're going to local coffee shops, ask them. I do it all the time still, and go and ask them, hey, which of these beans do you think is the best for a pour over? They'll lead you there. The good ones will. The other ones will just tell you, oh, here's our more expensive one. Just try it out.
Yeah, I know. Right? Yeah.
But definitely, like I said, let's support each other. We appreciate Fidel being on, and then like I said, come grab a cup of coffee, taste it out, and then we're going to be selling it. And with that said, I mean,
local love is forever.
Yep. Thanks.
Cool.